Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 28. Let's focus on verses 21 through 25. The woman came over to Saul, and she saw that he was terrified, and she said to him, "Look, your servant has obeyed you. I took my life in my hands and did what you told me to do. Now please listen to your servant. Let me set food in front of you. Eat it, and it will give you strength so that you can go your way." And he refused, saying, "I won't eat." But when his servants and the woman urged him, he listened to them. And he got off the ground, and he sat on the bed. And the woman had a fatted calf at her house, and she quickly slaughtered it. And she also took flour and kneaded it and baked unleavened bread. Does this not remind you of the Passover? And she served it to Saul and to his servants, and they ate. And afterward they got up and they left that night. Now, this is a sad scene. Saul, who has been abandoned by God because of Saul's sinfulness, let's be honest, has resorted to consulting a witch in order to ascertain guidance that is only God's to provide. Happy Halloween. The woman who passed herself off as a witch, because really it was demons speaking through her, seeing that Saul is terrified, and perhaps terrified for her own life, prepared a meal that was fit for a king. And yet all this amounts to is making someone as comfortable as possible before he faces total disaster. Allow yourself to feel the gravity of the hopelessness of that last sentence. Afterwards, they got up and they left that night. And doesn't that scene remind you of another Last Supper? Does it not bring to mind another outwardly religious and talented individual, one who preached the gospel of Jesus and did miracles in his name? Do you remember the way that Judas left the Last Supper? John chapter 13, verse 30, after receiving the piece of bread, he, Judas, went out immediately, and it was night. You know, the Apostle John did not merely want us to know that Judas departed. He wanted to tell us that it was night. And what a night. It was like entering the outer darkness itself, the abyss. But Judas and Saul were not the only ones who entered the darkness. Consider Mark 15, verses 33 and 34. And it was the 6th hour, and it come, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which translates, my God, why have you forsaken me?" He was quoting the first line of Psalm 22. Or as Adrian Rogers used to say, Jesus wasn't quoting Psalm 22. Psalm 22 was quoting Jesus. So if we're not careful, we'll make the mistake of believing that we're just detached observers of the stories of Saul and of Judas. And of course, it would be very wrong to assume that we're any better than them, or that we're not quite as stupid or deserving of better than those two. The glory of the gospel is that Jesus went through the darkness of God's absence on our behalf. Jesus endured the darkness and the agony of God's forsakenness. Doesn't Jesus' cry carry the same ring as Saul's? 1 Samuel 28, verse 15, God has turned away from me and answers me no more. At the battle of Golgotha, Jesus walked out into the outer darkness of spiritual battle without the Father's protection. And he did it in order that we, who had no defenses, might walk in the light of life by his grace through faith in him. So is your faith in the one who endured the darkness for you, or does darkness yet await? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. If you'd like to know more about the gospel and how you too can receive it and be assured of salvation, you can check us out at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like yourself. So if you're being ministered to through the Bible teaching of Groundworks Ministries, and you'd like us To help us to reach this generation with the gospel, would you consider donating to Groundworks Ministries today? Donating is secure and it's easy at our website. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.